In the dim glow of a single lamp, Margaret sat hunched in her worn armchair, tears tracing silent paths down her wrinkled cheeks. The house, once filled with laughter and the aroma of homemade apple pie, now echoed with emptiness. It had been 2 years since her husband, Tom, passed away from a sudden heart attack, leaving her alone in their modest cottage on the edge of town. At 82, her days blurred into nights of solitude, her only companions the faded photographs on the mantel and the relentless ache in her heart. That evening, as rain pattered against the window like forgotten memories, she clutched Tom's old sweater to her chest, whispering, "Why did you leave me, my love?" The world outside felt as distant as the stars, and she wondered if anyone even remembered she existed. Margaret's life hadn't always been this quiet. She and Tom had built a world together, raising 2 children who now lived far away, busy with their own families. They danced in the kitchen to old jazz records, tended a garden bursting with roses, and dreamed of traveling the world once they retired. But cancer had stolen their savings, and Tom's death had shattered those dreams. Now, the roof leaked during storms, the fence sagged like her spirits, and bills piled up on the kitchen table. Her son called occasionally, promising to visit, but life always got in the way. Her daughter sent cards, but they couldn't fill the void. Margaret felt invisible, a ghost in her own home, crying not just for Tom, but for the life that had slipped away. As the clock ticked toward midnight, a low rumble pierced the silence. It grew louder, like thunder rolling in from the horizon. Margaret's heart skipped a beat. She wiped her eyes and peered through the lace curtains. Headlights pierced the darkness, illuminating a group of motorcycles pulling up to her driveway. Bikers, rough-looking men in leather jackets, bandanas, and boots dismounted under the street lamp. Their bikes gleamed with chrome, engines growling before falling silent. Panic surged through her. What did they want? Robbery? Intimidation? Stories of outlaw gangs flashed in her mind from late-night news. Trembling, she reached for the phone, but her arthritic fingers fumbled. "Oh God," she murmured, her voice barely audible. "Please, not now." The leader, a burly man with a salt and pepper beard and tattoos snaking up his arms, approached the door. He knocked firmly, but not aggressively. Margaret froze, her breath shallow. Another knock. "Ma'am, are you in there? We don't mean any harm." His voice was gruff, yet oddly gentle. Against her better judgment, curiosity, and perhaps desperation won over fear. She cracked the door open, chain still latched. "What do you want?" she asked, her voice quivering. The man removed his helmet, revealing kind eyes that crinkled at the corners. "Name's Jack. We ride with the Iron Hearts Motorcycle Club. Saw your light on and, well, we heard about you from the folks at the diner. Said you're alone here and your place could use some fixing up. We're not here to scare you. We're here to help." Margaret blinked, confusion washing over her. Help? From bikers? It sounded absurd. But as she looked past him, she saw the others unloading tools from saddlebags, hammers, paint cans, even a ladder. No weapons, no menace. Just men with weathered faces and purposeful strides. Hesitantly, she unlatched the door. "Why me? I don't know any of you." Jack smiled softly. "Doesn't matter. We lost one of our own recently, a brother who always said kindness is the real strength. We're honoring him by paying it forward. Your roof's leaking, right? Let us patch it before the storm worsens." The rain had picked up, drumming harder on the shingles. Margaret's eyes welled up again, but this time with a flicker of hope. She nodded, stepping aside as the group entered, their boots thudding gently on the creaky floorboards. What followed was a whirlwind that transformed her night and her life. The bikers worked with surprising efficiency and care. One, a young man named Rico, with a ponytail and a quick laugh, fixed the dripping faucet in the kitchen while sharing stories of his abuela back in Mexico, who reminded him of Margaret. "She makes the best tamales," he said, his eyes lighting up. "Bet you could teach me a thing or two about pies." Margaret, initially hovering nervously, found herself chuckling for the first time in months. Another biker, Sarah, a tough woman with pierced eyebrows and a warm smile, repainted the peeling walls in the living room, humming old tunes that Margaret recognized from her youth. "My dad was a vet like your Tom," Sarah confided. "Lost him too soon. Music helps, doesn't it?" As they worked, Margaret brewed coffee, her hands steadier now. She shared photos of Tom, and the bikers listened intently, their rough exteriors melting into genuine empathy. Jack revealed the twist that caught her off guard. "We didn't just hear about you randomly. Your husband saved my life once. Back in Nam, Tom pulled me out of a foxhole during an ambush. He never forgot him. When I learned he passed, and you were struggling, well, it was time to repay the debt." Margaret's jaw dropped, tears streaming freely. Tom had rarely spoken of the war, burying those horrors deep. But here was proof of his quiet heroism, embodied in this stranger who now knelt fixing her porch steps. The night deepened, and so did the connections. They didn't just repair the house, they mended her spirit. Rico found an old guitar in the attic Tom's and strummed a melody that brought back floods of memories. Sarah helped Margaret sort through boxes of keepsakes, laughing and crying together over faded letters. But the real twist came when Jack pulled out a worn envelope from his jacket. "Tom sent this to me years ago, after the war. Said if anything happened to him, I should look after you." Inside was a letter in Tom's handwriting, detailing his love for Margaret and a small life insurance policy he'd set aside not for himself, but to ensure she was cared for. Jack had tracked it down, cashed it quietly, and used part to fund their club's charity rides. "He wanted you to travel, see the world like you both dreamed." Margaret collapsed into her chair, sobbing not from grief, but from overwhelming gratitude. The emotional climax hit like a wave. These outlaws weren't intruders. They were angels in leather, sent by fate or perhaps Tom's enduring love. "I thought I was forgotten," she whispered, her voice breaking. Jack knelt beside her, his own eyes misty. "You're not alone, Margaret. None of us are, if we choose to reach out." The group gathered around, their presence a shield against the loneliness that had haunted her. In that moment, the house felt alive again, filled with the warmth of human connection. By dawn, the cottage gleamed anew, roof sealed, fence mended, walls fresh. But the true change was in Margaret's heart. The bikers promised to return, inviting her to their next gathering. "You're family now," Rico said, hugging her gently. As they revved their engines and rode off into the sunrise, Margaret stood on her porch, waving with a smile that reached her eyes for the first time in years. In the weeks that followed, Margaret's life blossomed. She visited her children, shared stories of the bikers' kindness, and even joined a local seniors group. The experience taught her and reminded the world that true strength lies in vulnerability, and heroes come in unexpected forms. Kindness isn't a grand gesture. It's showing up when someone needs it most, selflessly bridging the gaps loneliness creates. In a world that often feels divided, acts of humanity like these weave us back together, proving that no one is ever truly alone. Margaret's tears now fell only in moments of joy, a testament to the enduring power of compassion.